Good morning. Welcome to the dais here at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. We appreciate your coverage of the 2024 Midwest Regional. We'll start our press conference shortly here with Gonzaga head coach Mark Few. Before we do, just a few housekeeping items, please. First and foremost, as a courtesy to the other media members in the interview room, please remember to silence your cell phones. We have microphone holders on either side of the room. Please raise your hand for a mic to be brought to you. And when you do ask a question, please introduce yourself and your media affiliation. All press conferences will be transcribed electronically by ASAP Sports, so please speak clearly into the microphone for those purposes. Please note that the video recording of press conferences on cameras or on cell phones is prohibited throughout the Midwest Regional. If time permits during each session, we will take questions from the media both here in the interview room and also on Zoom. Questions from the media here in the interview room will be first, followed by questions on Zoom, again, time permitting there. With that, we will begin today's press conference with head coach Mark Few. Coach, if you wouldn't mind starting us out with an opening statement, we'll go from there.
Yeah, hey, it's just awesome to be back to another Sweet 16. As I told the guys, it's just a great week. It's such a fun week to advance and have a little bit of time to hang out and enjoy each other. And I think that's really important with this group, because this group, I've had some really, really close teams, but this group's as close as any of them. And I also told them, as good as this week is, the next week gets even better and is the best week. So, but we're fired up. We know we got our hands full. We've played Purdue earlier in the year, and they're a great team and been great throughout this whole year.
Thank you. Let's go to questions for Coach Few, please, and we'll start on the front left. Need to get a mic to him, please. No.
Left, right. They're like my team. Anybody, let's just get a roll in here. Everybody, take a crack here.
Brian Newbert from GoldenBlack.com. Coach, can you just kind of tell us how your team is different from November, but also how Purdue is different from what you've seen watching this week?
Yeah, hey, I think we're both different. I know in our case we're vastly different. We had some pretty rough patches there early if you watched some of our practices and even some of our early games. But we actually played really, really hard against them the first time. We just turned the ball over too much and shot way, way, way too many threes. So I think hopefully we'll get that cleared up. We're sharing it better, and I think we're much more purposeful on the offensive end. But they're better too. So I think that'll be the biggest challenge there.
Vedant Gupta from Global Kid Media. Coach Few, since I was 8 years old, for 9 years, we see the Zags consistently in the Sweet 16 and, of course, the fantastic handstands in the locker room.
I don't know if they were fantastic. They were moved by emotion, but pretty marginal on the execution.
Well, they inspire me. I got to know from then to now, how has your approach changed to these Sweet 16s?
I'm, like I said at the start of this thing, excited as ever. I think even for me, I take nothing for granted any of these years, but I think this one probably feels as special as any, just because, we were behind the 8 ball there for a while, and there was a lot of doubts, and we had to really buckle down and play great down the stretch even to get in this tournament, which is, it's really, really hard to get into, and it's even harder to move on to a Sweet 16. So, I think in lieu of all that, this one feels great. And it also feels great just kind of going through the journey with this group. They never wavered. They stuck together. They stayed really, really coachable. And, I think that's been rewarding too.
Okay, we got 2 questions in the third row starting here on the end.
Hey, Coach. Eddie Pels with AP. Good to see you again.
You too.
The Zach Edey issue, can you kind of describe the challenge of dealing with somebody that unique, and also if there's any advantage that you are one of those few teams that's played him a couple times?
Hey, first of all, phenomenal player, and just, needs to be congratulated for putting together these seasons to be, College Player of the Year 2 years in a row. And just, I've been doing this a long, long, long time, and you just have never dealt with something like Zach. that size, but yet that good of a player. I mean, he's really developed his touch. His ball goes in now. It's very soft. Great passer if you do choose to double team him. Shoots free throws very, very well. Obviously, at that size, really, really impacts the game on the defensive end. So, I mean, he's an entity that you just don't see. The positive is we have seen him. We played him in the PK 85 early a year ago, and then like I mentioned, we played him in the Maui tournament, at Thanksgiving. So at least we've felt his size and his strength, and then also played against a really, really good Purdue team. So if anything, we can draw on some of those experiences.
One more in the third row on the left.
Dana O'Neill with The Athletic.
Dana finally makes it back with the Zags. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thank you. Coach Painter brings a sort of burden to this Final Four, or to this Sweet 16 to try to get to the Final Four. You carried that for a little while. I think every coach carries it for a little while. How do you manage that?
I mean, I just think you just totally unequivocally just focus on the task at hand, and it's just kind of a next game mentality. I mean, I think they've done a wonderful job with that. They've hit it head on throughout the whole year, it seems like, and all the way back to the preseason. And you just kind of go next game mentality, and man, it certainly hasn't affected them in this tournament. I mean, they've been lights out so far, in these first two games. So now I think all that stuff's off, and now they're playing, and they seem to be playing their best basketball, at least based on these last two outings.
Front row here.
Dave Bowling, Spokane. Coach, when you watch Ben play, do you see a little bit of throwback Zag in him and his style and combativeness, but with new Zag skills and talents?
I think the Zags we've always been like that. I think sometimes you get this old Zag, new Zag stuff. I mean, first of all, the old Zags were really, really good and talented, and our new run have been really, really tough and got a lot of old school to them. And what he is he is a Zag, right? I mean, just heart and soul, and he just embodies everything our program's about, his toughness, how he prepares, how he just values team, and really works at keeping everybody together. And then again, this particular group just really, really rallies around him, and really, and we figured that out. So it's just important to have him around and on the floor because they really respond to him.
Right side in the fourth row.
Travis Green from Crimson News in Spokane. Hey, Mark, I know you talked about it a little bit earlier with both teams being different than when you played earlier this year, and we know from following you guys this season, specifically you guys, how much can you draw from that matchup? Are you going to look at that previous game heading into this, or?
Yeah, no, we've looked at it a lot. I mean, look, both of us will change, but we're not going to change that much. I mean, we kind of are who we are. And like I said, especially when you're dealing with somebody as special as Edie, we've at least experienced it, so we're not trying to describe it to our guys and show other teams playing against it. We actually played against it, so we can obviously draw on those times when we were successful and try to correct the ones when we're not. And it's not just about him. I mean, Braden Smith's had a great year, and they've been great, this year. They got great balance. And, I'm just, Matt's as good a coach as there is in all of college basketball. He puts them all in the right spots and places, and they execute perfectly. And then, they're constantly changing and subbing and putting more skilled guys in these positions and these actions to make it really, really hard to guard. So it'll be fun, trying to deal with all that.
Second row on the left, Coach.
Lafayette Journal-Enquirer, you're kind of going off of what you just said. I think Matt's done a good job of getting the role players to buy into those roles, 7, 8 deep. What is the challenge in that? And when you've got a team that's this good, I think those are the guys that obviously make a difference when you get this far in the tournament.
Oh, yeah, I mean, they have a lot of weapons, and so just, I think it's really imperative that our guys, you know, really dial into personnel, and they all have their different strengths, you know, the ones that he does bring off. And so shooters, we gotta, you know, make sure we do a great job on them. I think they're most dangerous when they're making a bunch of threes, you know, like they did the last game, so we got to do a great job there, and then we got to understand when shooters aren't in. Obviously, we got to shore up the glass or shore up duck-ins inside, and you know, all of the above, and all the while, you know, keep those guards, you know, in front of us, and do a good job there, especially in transition. They hurt us in transition over in Hawaii also, so we need to do a better job there.
Last two for Coach on the left side in the front row, Chris.
Chris Solari, Detroit Free Press. Mark, kind of along those same lines, how have their guards maybe played off of Edie, and how has you seen, in the more recent games, how have you seen the changes with their backcourt based on that?
Well, I mean, their backcourt was good, really good against us in Hawaii, so especially Smith was great, I thought. I mean, Gillis is shooting it great right now. Obviously, yeah, that's what Lawyer does. The best thing they do is they just all, I mean, they've had so many reps together now. They all play so well together. They're excellent post feeders. Their timing and when and where they find him. And then, you know, they're dangerous, especially on those ball screens. You got to shore him up rolling, but you also have, you know, these guys can make plays. And then I think Jones has been a really good addition for him, you know, from when we played him 2 years ago in Portland to this year. I mean, he does so much. He's a tough guard, and then he's a handful on the other end, the defensive side of things.
Last one, third row.
Hey, Mark, Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated. You and Matt both have run your programs at a high level for a long time in changing landscapes. How have you adapted while still keeping kind of the core of how you do things the same?
Gosh, Pat, that's been as bigger challenge than probably getting these dudes this year to play, you know, get back playing in a good way. But you know what? It's kind of been easy in some ways because it's just Gonzaga and it's just how we operate and it's who we recruit and it's who we always end up with. The guys we end up with just end up kind of belonging there. And the guys we miss out on are frustrating at the time, and you know, but then you end up like, yeah, maybe he didn't belong here. I always tell the staff, it's like that old Garth Brooks song, "Thank God for Unanswered Prayers." You need to listen to the words to that sometime. It's pretty good. But anyway, but it is getting hard. It's getting really hard. I mean, we could spend 3 hours up here, Matt and I both, because we've tried. And the one thing I would say is they need to start listening and to us coaches, especially those of us coaches who have been around a long time and have tried to do it the right way, and you know, get it out of this bureaucratic, you know, stranglehold where nothing gets done, and then, you know, this stuff just crushes us when it hits all these changes, and we could all see it coming, you know. So hopefully we can get to the point where football coaches and basketball coaches are on the really decision-making things that can kind of help us, guide us through this thing, because this tournament is just so awesome and so special and so great. I mean, we've got to make sure we keep this thing rolling.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
And Huff, in that order.
all set there.
All right, we're ready to continue here with the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Fellas, congratulations on getting to the Sweet 16. Welcome to Detroit.
Appreciate it.
So from your left to your right, we have Nolan Hickman, Graham Ike, and Braden Huff. We'll start with questions here in the interview room first, and if we do have time, we will take some questions on Zoom. With that, we'll go ahead and kick it over to the media. Let's start in the back on the left side.
Nolan, going into February, to this point you're at right now?
Honestly, man, I think after that, after that St. Mary's game that we had in WCC conference tournament, I think after that we just started buckling down, understanding that we're not going to be facing St. Mary's of the world or San Francisco's of the world anymore, and we got the chance to beat up on somebody else. So yeah, man, I think after that we just started, buckling down, understanding what our strengths are and what our weaknesses are, and we went from there.
Got a question on the right side in the back.
Todd Golden with CNN Chat. Graham, since you saw Purdue in November, what's the biggest thing that's changed for your team that's put you on the path to have a chance to play them again?
The biggest thing probably is just how many games we've played since then. Like our connectivity and our synergy is on a whole nother level than it was when we were playing our fourth game against Purdue. And we're clicking right now on the right page.
Additional questions for student athletes? Myron in the back.
Graham, how do you guard a 290-pound on him?
Just try to stay legal, continue to keep the physicality up as much as possible, as much as the rest will allow me to, and just meet them early. Yeah, that's about it. And just trusting my teammates that they'll have my back with good ball pressure, good communication on the floor.
Left side, second row.
Sam King, Lafayette Journal and Courier. Nolan, everybody talks about Zach Edey, but I think the guards are really good on this Purdue team. Kind of, how do Lance Jones, Fletcher Lawyer, and Braden Smith really make that team go?
No, they definitely complement each other really well. Especially with Zach on the post. They're always able to find them. Whenever things are not going well on the offensive end. Zach Edey is always there. I feel like they're a scapegoat. When they need a bucket, they go to him. And they always find a way to. So yeah, they complement each other real well.
Back to the left side in the back.
Graham, you played Purdue. The first couple of games, you missed all of last year to injury. How different are you today compared to who you were in that first game after coming off the injury?
Yeah, I'm a lot different. My wind's better. I say my touch is better. The feel for the game is better. The feel in our offense for myself is better. The game just feels a lot slower than it was at that time.
Right side, fourth row.
AJ Howell, SWX. This is for any of you guys. Mark mentioned a few times in his press conference just how special this team is to him, clearly referencing off the court. What is unique about this group of guys that we can't see when watching games?
Braden, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I got it. I think we're just a really tight-knit group. I think we went through some ups and downs early in the season, and I think through that we got stronger on the court and also off the court, and I think that's shown in our play lately. So, yeah, it's a fun group to be around. Everyone loves each other on this team, so it's a really cool group. I don't think you see that a ton, especially with the transfer portal and everything in college basketball now. It's cool that we've got such a tight-knit group.
Other questions for the student athletes? Do we have any questions on Zoom? Seeing none. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you tomorrow.